making you number one.
Stories that bother your mind. The show is, of course, live on Facebook here on Citi FM's handle. Hi, I am Umaru Sanda. I'm the host of Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Every weeknight, do join me for the big stories of the day as we do the analysis, the interviews, the probing questions that will help you find closure to the top stories that bother your mind. The show is, of course, live on Facebook here on Citi FM's handle.
Given the strongest indication of beginning with the construction of the second phase of the University of Ghana Medical Center by July this year. Now, this follows an earlier announcement of the operationalization of the first phase in the hospital in July. Speaking on the Citi Breakfast Show, Minister of Information Dr. Mustafa Hamid said they are committed to get the hospital working.
We are hoping to open the facility and operationalize it latest 18th July, okay? So between now and the July 18th date is when we expect all of the things that we have said ought to be done before the facility will be fully operational, that they will be done within that period. So the staffing, testing of equipment, head hunting of critical staff, etc., etc., would all be done between now and then also setting up of a board, a board which will then appoint a permanent, if you want, administrative staff for running the hospital.
Realistically, from 19th July, patients can hope to be able to go there or be referred there if all goes according to plan.
Yes, please.
Fantastic. Now, did this statement also seek to clarify issues around whether the university or the government is managing this facility, or we haven't gotten there yet?
Oh, the management structure that will be put in place will be made up of people nominated or appointed by the university and also people appointed by government.
Great. So that also has been resolved. Great.
Yes, that also has been resolved. Yeah.
Third question. We are told that money has been secured for phase 2 to begin, but we were not told when the phase 2 will begin. Can you give us some hints?
Yes, right now we are hoping that in the next week or two maximum, Parliament would have ratified the loan agreement, and then we can go and access the money for phase 2 to begin. So if you ask me, give and take, we hope that by the July date that we are saying that this facility will be operational, we would have accessed the money and then begin the process of operationalizing or working on phase 2 as well.
So you heard the Minister of Information, Dr. Mustafa Hamid.
Let's go to some other issues of governance and protecting the national interest now. And we received or read for you a statement yesterday from the Ghana Armed Forces in relation to the so-called placing under close arrest of illegal operators or operations of members of Operation Vanguard. That was a statement issued by Colonel Agri-Kwashi, on behalf of the Ghana Armed Forces. And he suggested, in that statement, announced that some two officials of the Military High Command, the Operation Vanguard team, had been placed under close arrest. Let's get some further information on this particular issue. Colonel Amoy AEC is the commander for Operation Vanguard. You're welcome to Eyewitness News. So first of all, what does it mean to say your men have been placed under close arrest?
In the military, when somebody is alleged to have committed a crime that warrants investigation, the person is placed under close arrest to enable investigations to be carried out and also to enable him to assist in investigations anytime needed.
Okay, great. Now, what were these officials or personnel suspected to have done?
They are alleged to have embarked on an illegal or, if you like, an unauthorized operation.
Where an authorized operation means what?
The Vanguard was set up to fight against illegal mining or to ensure that illegal mining is brought to a halt in order to save the environment and our natural resources. And so any act contrary to this, that is against the tenets of the Vanguard mission, is an illegal operation, because any act that will sort of undermine this sort of mission set up for the Vanguard will be an illegal entity.
So instead of protecting our natural resource, they were helping deplete them?
Like that they embarked on an illegal enterprise. So investigations are underway to assess level of culpability, if any, and then what exactly was being carried out. So until that comes out, anything could be speculation.
So culpability means that they weren't directly involved, but they were possibly aiding some persons to deplete the environment.
Those facts will be established by the investigation. But when investigations are finished.
Okay, but what is the prima facie case that necessitated them having to be put on close arrest?
Yeah, if you go out of camp without authority, and then you go to a place where you are not supposed to be, and then also use any equipment without authority or without being actually given a task to do. Let's say you go out when you are not supposed to be out, and then you engage in any enterprise not sanctioned or authorized by the appropriate authority, it becomes an illegal enterprise.
It also says in part in the statement issued yesterday that the suspects, the 3 soldiers, allegedly extorted money from illegal miners in the Wasa Ekropon general area. Is it the case, and you are the commander for Operation Vanguard, is it the case that some of your persons, and this is a claim that has been made several times, are enticed by the illegal operators and they end up being the perpetrators or the supporters of the perpetrators rather than the protectors of the state?
That is what we have always been asking for, the help to unearth such corporates, if any. And this issue is being investigated to see, that's what I said, to see the level of complicity, if any. That is to ascertain whether indeed they were doing those things. And when found culpable, definitely they will be made to face appropriate sanctions, as the military does not condone such unprofessional attitudes. And therefore, for now, we cannot say for sure until the investigations are completed.
If you do not feed your cat well, you do not expect it to protect or watch over your fish. Now, is it the case that you are underpaying your men in uniform, and so they tend to tilt towards the illegal operators and tend to support them for financial gains rather than what the state pays them, perhaps?
I wouldn't say that, because on Operation Vanguard, we have a daily allowance of, I would say we have a daily allowance aside the monthly normal pay. So if you take, for instance, other operations like Cam Life or Cow Leg and Abbott, those on it don't have those allowances. And therefore, I would say Operation Vanguard is an enhanced operation in terms of allowances and those things. And therefore, I don't see why they should be enticed. We know that illegal mining is very lucrative to those who engage in it. And since it is their source of livelihood and source of economic power, they will do everything possible to maintain their activity. And therefore, even if it means feeding money or giving out money to entice people to break circles around them so that they can continue to work on the high side of the majority of the task force, they will be willing to do it, because they don't want to lose their source of economic power. And therefore, these things are about to happen. If you lose your guard, definitely the temptations will come up. And that is why we always guard against people putting themselves in a situation whereby they could be compromised. And that is why we don't allow such individual or private movements and unauthorized dealings.
Colonel, I noticed that you restrained yourself from giving me a specific figure or in relation to how much you're giving us per diem or honorarium for the job you're doing. But how juicy is this, extra pay that you get for extra job?
I think it's appropriate, and not that I'm trying to restrain figures, but it is, if you like, it is 30 cedis a day for the priest, and that is quite okay because at the end of the month it's about you can calculate it depending on the number of days in the month. So I think this is an allowance for being on Vanguard, and this is.
Can you share the daily figure with me, perhaps, or maybe the estimated monthly figure?
No, the daily figure is 30 cedis, 30 Ghana cedis.
How does 30 cedis, motivate someone to reject a gold bar?
Well, for that, then it means the government cannot even pay. Because if you want to give enough money for somebody to reject a gold bar, then you need maybe 2 or 3 gold bars to be given to that individual, which is not possible for the government. But take it from the point of view that this is additional to your usual pay as a policeman or a military. So this is an additional allowance for being on a Vanguard.
Mr. Commander, but you frankly think that 30 cedis is motivation enough for the men in uniform and can serve as a positive deterrent from going for bribes that may be offered by illegal miners?
You know that I would say as a government institution or the government cannot match what illegal miners may want to give to entice people. But that notwithstanding, don't forget that we've signed bonds and bonds of serving the nation to the peril of our life, not actually for economic gains, but for service to the nation. And this is one of such services because the security and the future of our nation is being put in danger by these activities. And therefore, it is our primary duty to secure the future of the nation or to defend the nation internally and externally. And
that borders on patriotism, but it appears some of your men are not willing to go the patriotic line. They would rather go the economic line. So would you perhaps, based on all the news you've been hearing about your men being compromised, consider an increase in the allowances you give them to motivate them to rather be patriotic, perhaps now pay for their patriotism?
I wouldn't say much because we all know the type of country in which we live in. We are not a first class or a developed nation. We are now trying to get ourselves into a middle income level, and therefore we don't expect to be paid as others will do. And also we know that the institution cannot match the illegal miners who are private individuals doing their own businesses. And therefore, once something has been given to us as an allowance and a source of motivation, we should contend with that and then look at the interests of the nation, of which we are mandated to primarily defend both internally and externally against any form of threat. And that is the core value why we should protect and what we should rather focus on instead of monetary gains. Anyway, I wouldn't say that if the government is in a position to give more, it is good. It will be good and to be better. But that shouldn't be the focus. We should rather focus on the security and the future of our nation, which all of us will benefit in the long run.
Thank you very much. Colonel Amwayisi is the commander for Operation Vanguard. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM, coming to you from number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka in Accra. Show is broadcasting around the globe on citynewsroom.com. And indeed, we have a live Facebook feed where we have the happenings in the studio being broadcast to our viewers across the globe. Let me bring you some tweets in reaction to the stories. Martian King says, how do you expect payment for being patriotic? Please come again. All right, I was not asking payment for being patriotic, but I'm just saying that based on the evidence on the ground and the stories being reported that the persons are not willing to be patriotic and are rather going on the side of the criminals, why don't you rather pay for their patriotism if they are not willing to give that for free? Manes Maketh Man has sent a tweet and he says, Jesus, 30 cities for Operation Vanguard, really People risking their lives for 30 cedis. This is very pathetic. No one would reject a gold bar for 30 cedis. Baba Musa says, please ask the Operation Vanguard commander what they are doing about the soldiers who went to Afayili in Kumbungu and burnt about 14 tipper trucks and excavators. Law enforcing task force engaging in illegalities themselves. Are we serious as a nation? I'm sorry, I couldn't ask him that because it was not the focus of the interview and he's not on the line as we speak. More comments coming through. Edmond Yin says, propose a name like JB Dankwa University of Ghana Medical Center of Excellence and see the speed with which the president will move to have the hospital in operation. That's sarcasm there. Ganyobi Erickson says, please ask Honorable what they were able to do for the rich natural resource communities during their 8 years in office. Politicians only pretend like they care when they are in opposition. And that's in reference to the interview I had earlier with Honorable Adam Mutawakilu. This one from AU Farouk in Tamale says, the energy sector is not doing well at all. The president must get to work, you say. Walanyu in Akwetia says, Umaru, I'm 100% in support of President Akufo-Addo because when you come to mining areas like Akwetia, where I reside, there is nothing to show for it. It is very shameful. But the president should allow small-scale miners to go to work, you say. Nukunu Foga says, the arrest and detention of Reginald Sichi Brown, which is yesterday, and subsequent directive that the UGMC will commence work in July shows that government had a diabolical agenda to keep the facility under law. Congrats to Reginald. #City Newsroom. Astilex says, is it not surprising the gold revenue has increased when only the big mining companies are mining? That's a question that you're asking. Yeah, you can also send your questions or comments across on a number of platforms, including the Twitter timeline that I just read for you, using the #City Newsroom or tweeting at Umaru Sandao at City 973. Alternatively, you can go on our WhatsApp platform and send us messages. Zoe, what are some of the messages coming through?
So Musa from Nankpanduri says Operation Vanguard members are not underpaid. They are simply greedy. Mahama Joe in Tema says so many unfounded excuses for not opening the University of Ghana Medical Center. And the last one says the NPP government has developed a plan for diverting minds because this hospital issue has become a topic for discussion. That is why they came out with that diversion plan to confuse Ghanaians, and that's from Elijah in Boko.
Keep your comments coming through on 0549 986 996, 0549 986 996. Now, if you bought Chocho or any commercial transport, this news should be bother to you. It has to do with an increase in transportation fares announced by the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, and it says that in line with the administrative arrangement on the public transport fares, the road transport operators have reviewed, so it's not GPRTU but rather the road transport operators have reviewed the prices of the various components that go into the running of commercial transport services and have increased public transport fares by 10% across all categories. Ibrahim Abbas Moro is the Greater Accra Regional Industrial Relations Officer with the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU. He's joined me on the line. You're welcome, sir, to Eyewitness News. So break it down for us, this announcement that you have about the increment in transport fares.
Yeah. Good evening to all listeners. Yeah, it's true. After consultation with the sector minister, this was agreed upon. Although operators are expecting a little more than the 10%. As I used to say, GPRTU, we are always law-abiding citizens. So we have accepted it. And it's to take effect on Monday of June.
What percentage were you expecting?
Roughly, it shouldn't be less than 15%.
Okay, and which vehicles or which means or modes of transport are affected?
Across board. Across all commercial vehicles have to come up with the upward adjustment of this 10%.
Okay, it affects intra-city and intercity. So you are saying that if I traveled from Accra to Ho for 10 cedis, I'm going to have a 10% increment on that. And if I were traveling from Accra, as in like Accra Central to Abeka La Paz, and I was paying 1 cedi, I would still have to pay 10%. Why did you have to slap the 10% across board and disregard distance and types of vehicles?
Yeah, you see, this what was agreed upon between the sector minister and the transport operators. So we have to abide by that. And that is it.
Yes, my question is that why is it that you haven't restricted, you haven't rather given us a specific percentage for intracity travels and maybe give us a different set of figures for intercity travels, if you get my point clearly?
Yes, I understand all right your question, but what I'm saying is this is exactly what was agreed upon. So the 10% should be worked across board.
I know, and I know that that's what you agreed on. I'm asking why you agreed on this.
I've told you earlier that, to be honest, operators are expecting not less than 15% due to the current economic situation. But yes, we have to be law-abiding. So at times, we have to push 50-50 to accept and let the economy goes. So we have to go by that. Yeah.
What were the factors you considered that necessitated the increase?
Oh, to be honest with you, we don't run transport with only fuel. We know spare parts, we've been paying taxes, permits, so many things which comes. We have so many components. So we don't only dwell on the fuel increment. So many components are considered. That was why we're even expecting more than the 10% agreed upon. But we have no choice.
Do you know how much, in terms of percentages, the increases in spare parts has been over the past 1 year, for instance?
To be honest with you, nobody controls market in Ghana. We are operating on open commercial system. Anybody buys parts and they sell us to, if only they will get customers to buy which prices they come up with. Nobody controls. Battery, for instance, 17 plates of a particular brand have different prices across board. Spark plugs, everybody has its prices. You see, and almost all the spare parts, everybody has its own prices. We don't have control price in the country. So it's only, I can say openly, it's only in our transport business that, yes, of course, we are being controlled to come up with a particular agreed prices. But if we are to say or to talk about the components which constitute to the increment, so many components, even AMA, the permit that we've been paying initially, they've been calling us, we bargain, they say we are going to pay this. Currently, they don't do that. It will be then 100% increment, 80% increment, and that is, we have no choice. So many things.
So, if a driver fails to comply, would there be any penalties or punishments?
Yes, to be honest with you, one of my job being the industrial relations officer for Greater Accra, I have immediately issued a communique to that effect. And honestly, it's taking effect on Monday. I strongly believe by Monday, everybody will get copies of those letters. It's our hope and belief that they should comply, because we have stated in the letter that they should strictly adhere to these directives. So it is my hope and belief how everybody will comply. Yes, of course, we know we have some bad news, 1 or 2 bad news. If should it happen and our attention is being drawn, we have to call those people and talk to them. But not forgetting that we have floating drivers who does not even belong to any transport organization. So if somebody does something, I'll plead with the public to make sure they can identify that particular group of people. It's not every driver that belongs to GPRT.
All right, wish you all the best. Ibrahim Abbas Moro is the Greater Accra Regional Industrial Relations Officer of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Stay with us.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens. NIIT, your number one choice for quality IT education, has introduced new programs. These programs have the latest technologies endorsed by employers. Our programs include...
Hi, I am Umaru Sanda. I'm the host of Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Every weeknight, do join me for the big stories of the day as we do the analysis, the interviews, the probing questions that will help